The following are the steps to designing a statistical study. First, we'd want to identify variables of interest and the population that you want to study. Then, you'd want to develop a detailed plan for collecting your data. If you're going to use a sample, try to make sure that the sample is as representative of the population as possible. Next, you'd want to collect the data. After the data is collected, describe it using descriptive statistics techniques. Once the data has been described, try to interpret the data and make decisions about the population using inferential statistics. Lastly, we'd want to identify any possible errors. Below are 4 methods for collecting data. In an observational study, a researcher observes and measures characteristics of interest of a part of a population, but does not change existing conditions. Researchers can investigate association and correlation in an observational study, but they can't prove causation. In performing an experiment, a treatment may be applied to part of the population and responses can be observed. Those receiving the treatment are sometimes called experimental units. Another part of the population may be used as a control group in which no treatment is applied. In an experiment, researchers can show evidence of causation, which is a conclusion regarding cause and effect. A survey would be an investigation of one or more characteristics of a population, often performed simply by researchers asking questions of the population. A simulation is the use of a mathematical or physical model to reproduce conditions of a situation or process. Simulations are especially useful for analyzing situations which would be impractical or dangerous to recreate in real life. Let's check out the 4 examples of studies below and try to decide which type is which. First, researchers study the effects of vitamin D on health by giving 70 patients the vitamin D and giving 70 others a placebo, which is a fake pill of no nutritional value. This is an example of an experiment. How can we tell? Well, there is a treatment being applied to part of the population. That would be giving them the vitamin D. 70 patients are given it. Now, another 70 patients are acting as the control group. They don't get nothing. They get a placebo, which is a fake pill of no nutritional value. The next one says, researchers conduct a study to find the approval rating of the current U.S. president. To perform the study, the researchers call 1,500 U.S. residents and ask whether they approve or disapprove of the president's job performance. Well, this is a classic example of a survey. It's where we gather a sample and ask them questions and record and analyze their responses. Next, the Pennsylvania Game Commission conducts a study by catching and releasing 636 elk. The numbers for 4 different categories of elk are recorded. The categories are adult cows, calves, branched bulls, and spikes. Now, even though the organization is catching the elk, they're also releasing them. And so what they're doing is not likely to have a large effect on the elk's behavior. So for this reason, I'm going to call this an observational study. They're just trying to document what the current conditions are without applying any kind of treatment to the elk. And lastly, researchers study the effect of changing flight patterns on the number of airplane accidents. So a computer program is used to model the airplane traffic and accident risk in new configurations. So this is, of course, a simulation, It could be extremely expensive, difficult, or even dangerous to reorganize airplane traffic in order to study it.